You know, I think sometimes the world and YouTube's just filled with this false sense of reality. Not everything's always easy, not everything's always sunshine and rainbows. Life can be hard, life can suck. But if you look at a lot of the videos out there, a lot of the things that you read in the media, it's highlighting just the successes, and it never really takes you behind the scene of the failures. All the vlogs, they show the good, but not necessarily all the bad. And a lot of times, life can be bad, life is hard, life is always challenging. Sometimes for the really hard reasons, somebody gets sick, somebody gets cancer, somebody loses a job, those types of things. Sometimes it's for more simple reasons. The baby won't sleep, you're really tired, you have too much to get done, and not enough time to do it. Different levels of hardness, but nonetheless, they're both stress points in all of our lives. If you have kids, if you have a job, if you have a side business, if you have a spouse, there's a lot of parts always at play that you're always trying to maintain and balance out. Not always the easiest thing to balance out, and sometimes that creates a lot of stress. Now again, stress comes with context. Obviously, if you're worried about your wife having cancer, that's a lot different than worrying about being late to that meeting. But on some level, they're both stressful anyway, and they both negatively affect you. One of the things that I really balance out, or struggle balancing out, I don't balance it out, I struggle with, is trying to balance what I want to do out here with kids and my business. You know, I need to run the business, that's important, and I need to raise my kids. As I've talked about a few times in these videos, kids are what I'm really raising, not plants. But nonetheless, I have the desire here to come out and do things outside. And I think a lot of us in this space, people watching this video, have the desire to do great things on the land, to follow in the footsteps of the Geoff Lawtons, the Mark Sheppards, the Sepp Holzers, the man who planted trees. But you gotta think about, if you do that, what does that come at the cost of? Or what's the cost of doing that? Because if you say yes to that, you're saying no to something else. And what is that? Your relationship, your kids, a business, a career? Now it's up for each of us to kind of think about those things and weigh them out, what's more important to each of us. But sometimes you get this battle in your head of relative equals. Kids versus doing stuff that I'm passionate about, goals I want to achieve, things that give my life meaning. How do you balance those? Is one more important than the other? Yes and no. I obviously want to do a good job raising my kids, that's the future. But I also don't want to just put everything I have into the kids and lose myself in the process. Because part of raising kids well, I think, is setting an example, going after what you believe in. But sometimes going after what you believe in comes at the expense of parenting. So it's this little chicken and egg, this circle of cruelty that sometimes life throws at us. And one of the things that I'm kind of struggling with right now is this area I'm sitting in. Do I garden in or do I not? Now again, I fully realize this isn't, I'm going off the war, I have cancer, but it's something that's on my mind that I think about, and it worries me, it makes me sad, I get pissed about it, I struggle with it, because I get a lot of personal satisfaction and relaxation by coming out here to garden. But as I said, I have a business to run, I have kids to raise, I have a relationship with my wife I want to maintain. And the amount of effort it's going to take to put this into place is really more time than I have. I'd have to carve time away from those other things to make that happen. And I'm not sure I'm prepared to do that. So I'm starting to decide my summer gardening plan. What am I going to do between now and September out here? I think a lot of times when we do that, it's like, what seeds can I buy? What can I plant? But I'm cautioning you to also think about, what do you have the time to do? What do you have the time to do well? What do you have the time to maintain? It's one thing to get all excited about what you're going to do on the front end. It's another thing to actually execute on what you want to do on the back end. In my experience, executing poorly is frustrating. Like, I would rather not do it than do it very poorly. Meaning, I don't want to plant a bed of lettuce here and have 10% of it germinate. That's going to be frustrating, stressful. I would rather just not plant that. So if it's going to take me 10 units of time to plant this bed of lettuce and do it well, but I know I only have 5, I got to make the choice. Do I plant less? Do I plant all of it and just burn through it and half-ass it, knowing it won't be optimum, and then deal with the consequences of that not being optimum, which again is just disappointment. It's emotional letdown. Or do I just not do it at all? And I think the path I'm going with a lot of the stuff I'm taking on this summer is not doing it at all. Focusing on just tomatoes, getting the infrastructure in place on my land. That's it. Why add complexity for things I just don't have time to finish? Because that's not going to help me. It's not going to help all the other parts of my life. So I need to really prioritize. I don't want to enter something that I can't fulfill to my best. Some people may be okay doing this differently. I get that, but I don't work that way. Like I said, I'll be disappointed and frustrated if I start something out here and can't see it through to fruition as best as I can. That's disappointing to me, so I'd rather not do it than take it on. So I think right now where I'm sitting, this is just going to get stale seed bedded, tarped. I'll continue to add mulch and things like that if I get more of it. Plan on a fall planting here. Focus my time on the back infrastructure where I showed you where I'm going to set up those permanent beds. That's where the tomatoes will go. Finish all that up, all the retaining walls, and then come back in the fall, September, October timeframe, and hit this for winter crops. That's probably the most realistic plan, the one that has the best chance of actually happening, and the one that has the best chance of success. So think about your summer aspirations. I know everybody wants to go big or go home, but sometimes there's a big cost to going big. Think about it in your context and what works for you. This is what works for me. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.